seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. All the man is out on the field.
That's another knockdown. You know, Jim. You believe in miracles? Yes.
You are now listening to the All Things Sport Podcast with your hosts, Daimeon Banks and Pierre Banks on Spreaker Radio. Fellas, you know what to do.
What's happening? What's up? What's going on? It's the All Things Sport Podcast, and I'm Daimeon Banks.
And I'm Pierre Banks.
Pierre. Another week, another edition of ATS, the All Things Sport Podcast. I like to call it ATS, man, where you and myself give our listeners all things sport. Pierre, what's the drizzle?
Well, I'm still alive, so that's a positive.
Yeah, being alive is imperative to you and I doing this podcast. So thank the Lord that nothing has happened, to us in this past week.
It's getting crazy out here, man. It's the past couple of days been, one incident after another, and police brutality. I don't know if I can say at an all-time high. It's just being recorded now at an all-time high. Now everybody can see it with their own eyes, which is good, but not good that they're brutalizing, the people the way they do, my people the way they do, but good that it's now being brought to the attention of the public. And not only the police you have to worry about, man, you got to worry about your own people. 82 people shot in the city of Chicago over the 4th of July weekend. 14 of those people wounded fatally. It's tough times right now that we're living in. What are you going to tell young Loxley?
I'm going to tell young Loxley, man, to always try to believe and see the best in people, and just be careful, man. Like, so many of my coaches always told me in the past, keep your head on a swivel, because you never know, man. And every time she walks out that door, man, I'll tell her I love her, and I'll see her when she gets home, man. It's a crazy world that we live in. We cover the world of sports, and we tend to live in that bubble, in that world. But when all these things, with the police, and the African American community, the black and brown community is going on, we have to speak on it. This is a sports show, but who would we be not to speak on it? And it's trying times, and sports can be an outlet, to get people's mind off of these trying times. And we hope that we are entertaining enough that we will get people, just give them an outlet, give them a break, from this insanity, man, that you watch on CNN and MSNBC and whatever other news outlet that you watch, man. It's a crazy time. Kanye said it, and people think Kanye's crazy. They don't want to hear it, but Kanye said it. Racism is still alive. They just be concealing it. And those words cannot be more true.
It's real disheartening. It's what it is, man, to see everything that's going on. Like you said, not every police officer has bad intentions. Not every police officer is racist, but you never know who you're going to run into on that fateful night, that fateful day, or whatever it is. Just like not every black person that you come in contact with is looking to harm you, but some of them are, so I'm upset. I'm a little downtrodden by what's going on with the whole police brutality situation, the police executions that are going on. And I'm mostly upset about that because it's nothing happening. I mean, it would be one thing if a policeman murdered someone and they were actually convicted of the crime and sent to jail. Not only are they not being convicted, but they're not even going to trial. The grand jury is not even indicting them. So that's real disheartening. And if you don't have something to deter you from doing something, you're going to continue to do it. And I think that's what we're seeing. And, I'm just as down about the black on black violence, us shooting ourselves, us killing ourselves. I'm just as upset about that as I am about the police brutality. And, it's just not looking safe for you and I or anyone who looks like us to even go outside nowadays, man. Thankfully, we got this world of sports that we do. Take our minds off of it. You know, a lot going on right now, Daimeon. I know you're excited about your number one girl, Serena Williams, going to another final at the All English Club.
Yes. My wife, LaShawn Banks, knows if I could, just have a warm embrace with any woman other than her, first and foremost, of course it's going to be Halle Berry. Who doesn't love Halle Berry? She's Halle Berry. But after Halle Berry, Serena. Listen, as a child, I liked candied yams and I like thighs as that was my favorite piece of the chicken. And Serena has candied yams and she has thighs. So, with that being said, she's a great tennis player as well. She's a champion, multiple time Grand Slam champion. She will be trying to avenge her Australian Open loss to Angelique Kerber of Germany. Angelique just beat Venus in the semifinals of this year's Wimbledon, and Serena was able to win her semifinal match. So it's going to be a rematch of the Australian Open, and Gerber prevented Serena from that calendar Grand Slam, if I'm not mistaken. So she's going to be looking for a little get back. Shout out to Serena. She's always holding it down for the sisters in the game of tennis, man. So I'm excited about that. Also excited that, this NBA free agency has been crazy. Just to use a simple word, like Donald Trump uses very simple words, so I'm going to use a simple word. NBA free agency is going to be crazy. Let me tell you, it's going to be huge, and it's been huge. And we're going to talk about that on this week's podcast. What else we got going on, Pierre?
Just a side note, football season is right around the corner, believe it or not. All those teams that will be playing in the Hall of Fame preseason games and things like that, they're going to start training camp in about 3 weeks. It's almost here, ladies and gentlemen. And in the Sun Belt Conference in NCAA football, oh, how the mighty have fallen. Georgia Southern going on somewhat of a probation. They have to vacate some wins from a couple of years where they had a couple of academically ineligible players that were competing, as reported by the USA Today. A former assistant compliance director at Georgia Southern actually gave a zip drive of completed work to one of the players. He turned in one of the papers, came back that he cheated, and then again, according to this USA Today article, the director of compliance actually encouraged this young man to lie about it. So, that's just one instance. Another instance, assistant director of academic services at Georgia Southern, assistant of academic services at Georgia Southern, was found to be completing extra credit papers, 2 extra credit papers for some of the players on the team, and turned them in without even the players knowing.
Wow.
So, a lot of things going on down there in Statesboro, Georgia, but because of that, they're going to have to vacate the wins from those seasons that the players were ineligible, and they're going to have to give up a couple of scholarships moving forward here in the future. So big news coming out of the Sun Belt Conference, home of the Appalachian State Mountaineers.
I knew you was going to fit that in somehow. Now, Pierre, I have a theory on that whole Georgia Southern situation with compliance officers helping student athletes, namely football players, if I'm not mistaken, correct? The offense that Georgia Southern runs, the triple option, it's very difficult to run. It looks simple while you're looking at it on TV, but it's very difficult to run. I think that the players and the coaches, they spend a lot of time learning that offense. They don't have a lot of time for academics. So the compliance officers just want to help them out, try to alleviate some of their workload. Learn that offense, perfect it, and I'll do your work for you. I think that's what happened, man. Sometimes people need a helping hand.
Well, that's your humble opinion. I'm not going to divulge into it because I'm actually in the field of academic support and athletics. But I think it goes to show the amount of pressure, like we discussed offline, the amount of pressure that goes into keeping these young men, young women on the track to graduate, keeping them eligible to compete. There's a lot of pressure involved, and some people go about it in the incorrect way, and before long, you got a lot of problems on your hands.
True indeed, man. The world of college football is definitely cutthroat, and if you lose, you're out of here. And you got to win, because if you win, you go to bowls. You go to bowls, you get money. You get money, you pay for facilities. You pay for facilities, you get recruits. You get recruits, you win. It's a cycle, man. And this is the world of sports. This is the world of college football. So that's what they're dealing with right now at Georgia Southern University. It'd be interesting to see as the football season approaches how they handle that situation. So we're talking a little bit NBA free agency on this podcast today, Pierre. Also just talked a little bit about, Serena Williams playing Angelique Kerber in a rematch of the Australian Open in the Wimbledon final. I'm going to get into that one later. I'm going to give you my King Jaffe Joe Fur prediction on that one a little bit later in the show.
To His Majesty King Joffrey Jaffer, the Royal Palace, Zamunda.
So if we're talking NBA free agency on this episode of the All Things Sport podcast, I guess we suggested together that we do a top 5. And the top 5 for this week's edition of the All Things Sport podcast is the top 5 blockbuster trades of all time, any sport. We didn't want to limit it to the NBA. We didn't want to limit it to basketball. So it's any sport. And in pre-production, you gave me your 5. I gave you my 5. Together, it's a strong 10. And we're going to let the listeners decide who comes out on top.
But we all know who that's going to be, man. Come on.
Man. You're feeling yourself. You're feeling yourself.
It's been a whole lot of dynamite trades all over the sports stratosphere, from basketball to football, baseball, soccer. I mean, a lot of different trades that have made a lot of people a ton of money. So in our top 5, we're going to take a look at those and give you, in our humble opinion, the top 5 blockbuster trades that we've seen.
We just went in on the show, Pierre. We just went in. We started talking. We did not thank the listeners for their continued support.
Thank you. You're far too kind.
We did not shamelessly plug banksboy.com.
Banksboy.com. Please visit. Listen to the podcast. Of course, the In My Humble YouTube channel that includes In My Humble and In My Humble The Split Decision, and Daimeon's blog, which is A1 Steak Sauce.
Yes, it is. Thank you, sir. Lastly, we did not give the listeners of the All Things Sport podcast our Instagram and our Twitter handles. I am on Instagram and Twitter at Sports by Daimeon.
That's Daimeon.
Thank you for spelling that, man, because no one ever spells my name right. I don't know who in the family said, oh, yeah, we're going to spell Daimeon, Daimeon, instead of spelling it.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know who did that, but yeah, thanks a lot for whoever did that.
I never had to spell it till I got to college, and I had to put your name down on the roll call list or the will call list.
Thank you for all the free tickets to Appalachian State University in beautiful Boone, North Carolina. I really appreciated that, man. I spent a lot of my young adult years in Boone, North Carolina, watching the Mountaineers just play incredible football.
You're quite welcome, good sir.
Speaking of the Mountaineers, congratulations to Armani Edwards, former Appalachian State quarterback.
Salute to my former co-captain, Armani Edwards.
He's going to be making his Canadian Football League debut for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and we're going to report on that next week. Tell you how Armani did in his Canadian Football League debut, formerly in the NFL for the Carolina Panthers, the Chicago Bears, a couple other teams, but he is now in the CFL. So congratulations to Armani. Jam-packed show, Pierre. We digress so much. I gave the followers of the All Things Sport podcast my Instagram and Twitter handle. You did not give your Instagram and Twitter handle to our listeners.
Well, I'm not as important as you, but since you afforded me the opportunity, I'm at _my_humble. That's on Instagram and Twitter.
Jam-packed show, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. We're going to take this commercial break. We'll be right back to give you the hot topics, man. We're going to be talking a little bit NBA free agency. I'm Daimeon.